Hey guys, Brian here with ITS. I'm here with Jim Fuller from Rifle Dynamics, and we're going to give you a little bit of a brief history of Rifle Dynamics and kind of talk about the AK platform. So Jim, if you want to kind of talk with us about Rifle Dynamics and how you guys came to be.
Well, we're an 07 SOT. We started out in 07, we got our license in 07. I had been gunsmithing for years prior to that, working out of different shops, working on my own and stuff. But we decided we had compiled enough work that we could make it a full-time thing, so we went in and got a license, opened up, and set up shop here. So that was in 07. So
Awesome.
5 years later, where we're at now.
Yeah.
So.
Well, when you developed Rifle Dynamics, what was your purpose in the industry? What did you kind of want to bring to the table?
Mainly, it's all about the Kalashnikov. That's what we're known about. And I was exposed to the gun very early on in my life, in early 80s. Ran across my first one. It was probably the most hideous gun I'd ever seen. It was like you looked at it, it's like, we're going to shoot that, And to my amazement, it worked quite well. And I thought, man, how can something look that bad, be that bad, beat up, and still be functional? There's something to this thing. So, I was really intrigued from it from that moment. And as soon as when I got back to the States, I bought my first AK, Chinese one, and with the intent to just try to kill it. Do the best I could to make it go bad, and I couldn't. I left it out in the snow, left it out in the rain, let it rust, never cleaned it, shot the worst ammo I could find through it. Just couldn't kill it. It would just keep running. Back then you could buy one for $125, so who cared?
Yeah.
And after about 3 or 4 years of beating it around and realized it wasn't going anywhere, I decided to give it a little bit of respect and started using it more. And then the more I used it, the more I began to realize the value of the platform. And I started to research, some of the roots of the platform and the way it was actually used by the Eastern Bloc countries, Russia, of course, and began to see that there's really a whole lot of difference to that gun than there is in the American mindset and Western technology of firearms. And once you really understand the basic and the true design and how it was designed to work, you really start to look at the AK in a different way, from everything from working on it to actually handling it in an operational fashion. There's things that are specific to the AK that a lot of Western people just miss. And fortunately, in the last few years, with the expansion of the AK in our market, people are becoming more aware of these things. Some of the trainers like Sonny Pazikas, former Spetsnaz guy, bringing his, the Russian style use of that weapon into the country was huge. And people for the first time were seeing how the gun was actually meant to be run in the original Russian arms manuals and things like that, which is Sonny pretty much runs a gun just like that. And working with him was just phenomenal to be able to understand, the way they use the gun. And if you look at Sonny, he runs like everything bone stock. That's the way he likes things. So, but that's the way he was trained, and that's the way he learned to use the gun. And it's a whole different mindset in how they do it. So once you grasp onto that, all of a sudden the weapon system looks quite a bit different.
Well, talk kind of to the effect of how people might view the AK platform over the AR, meaning what are some of the specifics that might keep people away from wanting to invest into the AK platform versus the not necessarily the reliability of the AR platform, but kind of, the ease of use and manual operations.
Well, again, we, in training, we can often get set in our ways, and this goes back to what I was just talking about the mindset and the approach to the gun. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't like the features of the AK because they've been trained with the M4 or the M1A or the M14, whatever they were trained on, and they were used to really accurate sights, nice rigid gun, controls that were easy to work with. But now, for example, the M14, same kind of mag latch as an AK. That's not a whole lot different. Mm-hmm. But, the sights are different, the way the safety operates. You got to stick your finger in the trigger to operate the safety.
Yeah.
Funny stuff there, but nobody ever complains about that, right?
Yeah.
But, if you're used to running an American Western style gun, particularly an M4, the AK is going to be foreign to you. Your safety is a lot farther forward, a lot harder to operate than what you're used to. And the sights are not as nice as the sights you'll find on an American gun. Other things as well, some people consider the stock shorter. But again, that's all in how the gun is used and how you handle the gun. I learned early on how to run a gun the way it was intended to, and I've never had any problem with it the way it is. As I aged, honestly, the sights really started to suck. Mm-hmm. So we developed something for that quite early on.
And you have your own proprietary sight that you guys...
Well, it's nothing special. We widen the notch and we radius it, but we came up with that working with my optometrist, who was also a shooter, mm-hmm. and kind of understood a shooter's point of view on what you need to see and what you're looking at and vision and stuff. And as I aged, eyes, I needed reading glasses, and needed glasses for distance, whatever. And she explained to me about sight notches. The AK being a square rectangular sight, you have a lot of right angles on the top. And she said, well, you can widen it, keep it nice and square, but eliminate the outer right angles, because that tends to draw your eyes more into the center of the sight where you want it to be. And when she mentioned that to me, I thought, okay. So I went back to the shop, filed off the corners a little bit, cleaned them up real nice, threw it up there. Whoa, it really does work. The wider notch, obviously, you can find the front sight quicker. And then so there's really nothing super secret about that thing. I've told people all along what we do, and you can really do it yourself with a file.
Yeah.
If you're careful.
Well, now, to that effect, what are some of the things that, I guess the average consumer that would purchase an AK off the shelf, what are some things that they could do necessarily to increase the reliability of the already proven platform?
Well, one, stick with the best quality out-of-box gun you can get. I'm a big fan of the SGL series from Arsenals. They're nice guns for a good out-of-the-box gun that's an AK platform. You're going to get a pretty reliable gun there. Cold hammer forged barrel and Russian receiver are heat treated properly. They've been making it longer than anybody. They know how to do it. So, you can get a good base gun that way. The Wassers and some of the cheaper guns on the market, they're going to be a lot rougher, and some work well, some don't. Some need a lot of things, and we've worked on a lot of those over the years, and we've kind of got it down to what you can do. But usually, there some of the things that the average guy can do if you're buying a rifle that's not quite as nice as you'd like. Fixing the safety is pretty easy to do, and if you want, we'll do a little video on how to do some of those little tricks.
That'd be awesome.
Fixing the safety helps a lot. There's some things you can do with the trigger that'll make it a lot smoother. Polishing the rails, polishing the bolt carrier in certain spots. A lot of the fitting things we do. We often put in our ads and stuff that, we fit this, we fit that, and people laugh and say, oh, that's just marketing. It's like, no, it's not marketing. There's actually a lot of stuff we really do work on inside these guns. So, but I'll be glad to show you some of that stuff.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Now, you guys are actually offering your own production gun as well now, right?
We are. We've been mainly a custom shop for most of the time, and with the availability of parts in this country, and it's really a challenge sometimes to fill these things. So we started thinking, and the fact that we're a custom shop, every gun's different. Everybody picks what they want on their gun. They get a choice of whatever we try to guide people in certain directions, not so much on the value of the part, but how good the part actually really works. We don't really sell stuff based on profit margin. We try to represent people, that present them with things that are not necessarily the most expensive, but hey, this is not the cheapest, this is not the most expensive, but it does the job, whatever the case is. So anyhow, because of that, we have a tremendously long wait, because it's sourcing these parts sometimes, and the fact that every gun is different, it just takes a long time to get it out. So we decided that the production gun was a good way to go. After looking over the years of all these things, we realized that about 85% of the things that we do to guns, we could do in a production gun and do it in a much speedier manner if we limited the choices of what was available. You won't be able to get your choice of flash hider or muzzle brake. You won't be able to get it. There's only going to be certain colors available, certain styles available, but it'll allow us to produce them in 6 to 8 weeks, as opposed to having to wait 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
May not be exactly everything you want, but you can get it a lot sooner.
Now, I know one of the things that, let's show that first.
Yeah. This is the 501 model. We make them in 7.62, the 700 series, and in 5.45, the 500 series. We have two configurations. This is the 01 configuration. This being a 5.45, it's a 501, and it comes with the triangle side folding stock. Whereas the 102, let's get that over here, comes with our stock adapter and an import as well. Otherwise, it's the same gun. And then we use them both calibers. You can see that they come with the U.S. palm grip. We really like the feel of that grip. It's a good quality product, fits the hand well. So that's going to be standard on here. This gun is finished in gray moly resin. The production guns are going to be done in black and tan. These were some of the first prototypes we did, so we've got them in various colors, but for the sake of keeping things simple and more streamlined to produce them, we're going to just limit them to 2 colors. They'll have the Arsenal lower handguard. We're using the Ultimac rail on the top. This is a good This is probably the most stable platform out there for a red dot. And you can throw a light mount on there as well. Serves the purpose really well. Our modded rear sight is included. Of course, our Bolton block on the front end. Our friend Venom Tactical, Lenny Bolton over there, makes these. It's been a great design. These are the Gen 2 Bolton blocks. They're set up for pinning, and they're also set up for a dual port configuration as well. Then, of course, on the end here, we've cut the barrel back and wreath crowned it and threaded it, and we're using on the 5.45 guns, we're using the Battle Comp 2.0. On the 7.62 guns, we're using the AKBC, and these are permanently pinned to a 16.25 length. This front end modification right here is one of the biggest things on this gun that really changed the way it handles. By moving the center of gravity closer to the body, the gun moves in a much easier fashion with no overswing. And when you run this gun compared to another gun with a lot of weight on the front, you really see the difference. And we'll do that on the range later today.
Very cool.
So, but that's just some of the basic stuff about the gun. They're all pretty much the same, and we tried to keep it simple. But this right here, we've sold quite a few of these already. The first batch is gone, and we're getting ready to set up and do the next batch. And we didn't promote the first batch too much because we just wanted to go through the process and figure out how it was going to work and see how everything went. It helped us fine tune the finished product.
Awesome. All right, so thanks for taking us through the production rifle, Jim. Can you kind of talk a little bit about the 922R compliance and what's involved with that?
Yeah, that's well, in '89. Daddy Bush signed the import weapons ban, which basically anything that was an imported assault rifle was no longer allowed to be made out of this country, was no longer allowed to be imported. Well, they had to come up with a determination of what makes an imported rifle. So they went to ATF, and ATF came up with a list of 20 parts that they consider the major parts on the gun. And their ruling was that if a gun has more than 10 of the 20 parts listed on this list, then it is considered an imported assault weapon. So the idea was to rebuild any of those guns that are classified under that 922R configuration. You need to replace enough of the imported parts so that you don't have more than 10 imported parts on the gun. Now, the 20 parts that are listed are not, it doesn't count like screws and sights and little things like that. It's mainly major parts of the guns like the receiver, the barrel, the furniture, the magazines, the trigger groups, various different things like that. Now, of this list of 20 parts, on the AK, on a standard AK, there's only 16 parts that exist on the gun. So when you look at that right there, that tells you, okay, there's 16 parts on that list. I've got to replace 6 of those, so I only have 10 that are imported. So as long as you're not over that 10 imported parts, then you're legal. Okay. So in most cases, replacing 6 parts on an AK will get it done.
Yeah.
And that includes like some of your, like the old Mac 90s that came into the country with the thumbhole stocks on them.
Yeah.
Guys all the time pull those stocks off, screw regular stocks on them, they don't know they have an illegal gun.
Yeah.
So with if a barrel's not threaded, you only need to replace 5 parts. Because a threaded barrel is actually one of the 20 listed parts. So if you have a threaded barrel, it requires a U.S. muzzle device to cancel that out.
Gotcha.
So, but that's so if a Mac 90, if a barrel's not threaded, you can change 5 parts and you're good. But it's confusing and hard to understand for most people. And honestly, I don't know that anybody's ever been charged for 922R non-compliance. But it is a law, and it is something that we need to be aware of and play the game right so we don't end up in trouble.
Sure. Cool. Well, I want to thank you for taking a couple minutes and chatting with us about Rifle Dynamics and everything.
My pleasure, honestly. Glad to work with you, buddy.
Thanks again, Jim.
All right, thank you. Thank you, folks.